Hi, welcome to You Don't Say Conversations with the loquacious Mr. Duane, who would be me. And I am joined today by a very special guest, someone I'm incredibly fond of in every way, personally, politically, spiritually, mentally. Are there other ways? Not
I think that
not
covers it.
not queerly, because it would not work that way that well. Anyway, who served on the New York City Council and who I loved supporting and who I loved serving with when you were in the council, Rosie Méndez, former New York City Council member Rosie Méndez. Hi, Rosie.
Hey, Tom.
You
Good
still go
evening.
by Rosie, yes?
Yes,
Why are you Rosie?
because no one could pronounce Rosaura when I was growing up.
R
And
O S A U R A?
correct. And so in middle school, some of my, when you went from elementary to middle school, a whole bunch of new students came in from other
Yes.
schools. And so then they started calling me Rosie. And then
Oh,
that kind of stuck.
and you like it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it now.
But your birth certificate,
Says Rosaura,
wow.
my grandmother's name, my maternal grandmother's name.
Oh, did you love her?
Never met her. She
Oh,
died when I was shortly after I was born. She was hit by a car.
oh, it's terrible.
Yeah,
In Puerto Rico or here?
in Puerto Rico, on one of those dirt roads
Ugh,
when there weren't many cars.
that's dreadful. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear that. And your paternal grandmother? Did you know her?
my father was orphaned when he was about 9 or 10.
Wow. So you missed a whole generation, kind of. Well, you might have had great aunts and great uncles, though, right?
Yes, yes,
Extended family.
absolutely.
And so, where were you born?
I was born here in New York, in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. You have lived everywhere now.
Now,
Now,
yes,
where in Brooklyn?
Williamsburg. Spent my whole life there,
Wow.
and then moved to the Lower East Side
Uh,
because of a woman.
and this really?
Yeah.
And
So that didn't work out, but other things kind
well,
of worked out.
you kept the apartment, or did you both get to apartments separate?
Oh no, I got my own apartment. I
In
was
the
not.
building, though? Did she stay in the building too?
Yes.
It was so I called it earlier before the show began. It was a beehive of lesbianism, that building. It was all lesbians, wasn't it?
Yes. I had to do a little thinking, but
I
yes.
mean, maybe there was a bi. No, all lesbians. Anyway,
All lesbians. Yeah.
were men allowed in the front door?
Yes.
That's nice. I'm glad to hear that. Because I'm one of the only men who ever got into the Duchess. For those of you who are old enough to remember the
Oh
Duchess,
my
to
God,
give
I
out
remember.
flyers, just to give out flyers, they let me
When you
in.
were first campaigning?
No, it was for the Chelsea Gay Association. It was some event we were having.
I
Believe it.
was I
You
was
know.
thinking about you the other day
Yes.
because when you first ran for city council, your city council seat was covered part of the area that
Yeah, it
was
was
then my
huge,
district.
almost the size of a congressional
And
district.
I used to go for weekly meetings at the Community Service Society, and I would see you campaigning out there. And then I signed up to give out flyers and stuff there before I would go to the meeting.
That was the best campaign ever because I was, an underdog, but it was
Uh-huh.
going really, really well. But I didn't win. It was too hard to beat an incumbent in that district. But then new
Redistricting.
districts were made, which the district that you eventually ran was supposed to be a multiracial district, but it ended up there was a district that was more Asian focused, and then there was another district. Your district was more of a toss-up district, but it has turned out to be mostly it's been all lesbians. Oh no, two lesbians and a heterosexual woman, as far as we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all
Well,
Hispanic.
and then the closeted gay person, remember Antonio Pagan?
He was not in the closet because he was in the city
Well, he was
council with
taken
me.
out of the closet when he was running.
I
So I
well,
don't think it was his intention to come out,
I
but
have
yeah.
explained on the show before that I wasn't the first gay one, the
Mm.
first gay HIV person, but I was not the first gay one. He was also gay, but I was the gay one. He was the anti-crime one because uh, uh, he was opposed to anything good. No, he was opposed to like anything having to do with homeless people, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and he was against crime. But like most people are against crime, I'm not so fond of crime myself. However, your political organization is an unusual one, and its name is
CODA, Coalition for a District 2 Alternative. And then they just dropped it to it became a Coalition for a District Alternative. Everybody calls it CODA. And then we have been confused with people who want to go to Codependence Anonymous and
Oh,
have shown up to a meeting with
well,
ours.
that's a good way to recruit. Because there's nothing like being in a political club to be codependent, but it's really treated like a democratic club, even though it's assiduously not so.
Yeah, I think we've become more like a Democratic club in in the more recent years, but we were a political organization, so we did organizing, of which electoral politics was one, and then all the other community issues that we were involved in and organizing around.
I mean, one of the huge things that you did was you organized Alphabet City, of course, but also the projects on the Lower East Side, which had not really been paid attention to as much as they probably should have been.
Yes.
Um, so your predecessor in the city council, Margarita
Margarita Lopez.
was not supposed to win,
Correct.
and she won by not a lot,
But she won
but she won.
with only 4 endorsements, of which you were one.
Did I just remind you of that? Yes, that's
No, I
true.
remember that
Oh, I was
clearly.
proud to endorse her. I mean, well, she was running against, for our listeners, the chief of staff to the Speaker of the New York State Assembly.
Well, she was running against Pagan, who then dropped out and decided to run for borough president. And
Pagan ran for borough president?
yes, so
I
that
don't
he
even
wouldn't
remember
lose
that.
at city council.
Wow.
And so, and that was the year Deborah ran, by the way, for borough president. And then Judy Ratvogel,
Yes.
the chief of staff to then Speaker Silver,
Who had a new special friend in Albany, I believe, is why he encouraged her to run for that seat.
Yeah.
I'm not telling tales out of school, but I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but they did eventually became special to one another again after that, because the second special one was no longer special. Albany was a weird place. What can I tell you? It's the weirdest fucking place on the face of the earth. I was just there, and it's still weird. And they all say, no, it's different now. And I'm like, no, look around. It's exactly the same. And even though you're in the majority, you're all like, it's exactly the same as it was before.
Yes.
Like, it's chasing interns around their desks, and, legislators, drinking out in bars with interns. It's just like total inappropriateness.
Mm-hmm.
And not being nice to people who visited. I was thinking, when someone would come up like to lobby in Albany, because I used to say, you have to come to Albany. It doesn't help you, but it hurts you if you don't come. But even if I didn't have time, I would go out and say hello and shake hands and say, I'm sorry, I have to go to a meeting, but talk to so-and-so. And it's just, in a way, it's better than talking with me, because they'll take notes and remember more than I will. But the people, I mean, not that I haven't been there for 15 years, but I thought to myself, if I were me, I would know who I was. Right? If you were you, wouldn't you know who you were?
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking to me that young people, you have to know the history, right?
Absolutely.
Because you were a historic figure
I'm forgetting
also.
its voices, and I'm shaking my head.
Yes,
and I forget
but that's
them.
okay.
Yeah.
But we're all,
This is what I used to, when I used to go visit in public schools and speak to kids, I used to tell them, history is important. You need
yes,
to know where you've been in order to know where you're going.
yes.
And so,
I mean, this is not the first socialist that we've had in government in New York City.
correct.
We had communists. We had Ben Davis, who was Lanny Guinier's grandfather, I believe, the quota queen, as she was called by vicious Republicans when Clinton was president. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
She was going to be in charge of the voting districts. All right. So anyway, Margarita beats. Margarita beats Ratvogel, Judy, and then she was term limited. Yes,
correct.
8 years. Did she get a little longer than 8 years?
She got 8 years.
Okay. Then you stepped up to the plate. Chris Quinn, I was already in the Senate. Chris Quinn had my old council seat.
She had just gotten in a special election after Margarita got elected, but they kind of almost served simultaneously.
Because I got left in December 31st, 1998, and I remember the day after New Year's was the day that we had to start petitioning, and it was like minus 40 degrees, but I did a lot of indoor petitioning. But I remember then the following primary, because we didn't have nonpartisan elections, campaigning with you and with Chris and with you. Mm-hmm. Especially where my district touched your district.
Yes.
Because my district.
Where we overlapped, yeah.
And it was great.
Yes, it was.
And did you like campaigning?
I loved campaigning. Used to love it. With different people, like when I was with you, that was a lot of fun because people loved you, Tom.
It's
Um,
nice of you to say, but I would have had you on the show anyway.
and
But
so,
I loved people, you
yes,
know? But you
yes.
were beloved in your community also. And um, my district was, as a Senate district, was very big, but your district had um, Gramercy Park, oddly,
Hmm.
and then like a line going down to a very in need neighborhood, right? With a
Hmm.
lot of many problems. And
Yes. This is the easy way. I actually gave testimony during one of the redistricting
yes,
when they tried to make my district look like a Gumby and take in, like the top just went that way. And it was going to take in parts of Times Square and the theater district. And so my testimony was Christine Quinn is the lesbian of the West. I'm the lesbian of the East. Fifth Avenue is the dividing line. It's very clear. People know which lesbian represents them.
I did. I was. That's right. Your districts kissed each other
Hmm.
basically, and then it wasn't Catherine Freed, and Margaret hadn't won yet, right?
No, we had
Oh, Alan
Alan
Gerson.
Gerson.
He was because when I ran, it was me and my sister Margaret, as we called her,
Hmm.
and Miriam, and Pagan beat Miriam, and Margaret Chin, who I supported. Not every time. There's one or two elections where I didn't support her, but I supported her more often than I didn't.
Hmm.
Um, but she should have won that race, and I think one of the reasons she had been a member of a left wing organization, potentially, possibly, we don't know, but she did not say the New York Times asked her that question directly, and she was evasive. And I always thought, oh, if I could have given her advice, I would have said, Margaret, you say, look, like every young person, of course I was a member of a leftist group. Everybody should be a member of a leftist group, but now I'm running as a Democrat. Bang, right?
Right.
But she didn't ask me that. So I was sorry she didn't, because that district should have been represented by an Asian person. Had Catherine Freed, who was Catherine Freed, went on to be a judge. Yeah,
Then Gerson, then Margaret, and then she got to serve for 3 terms because those
right.
of us who were in office with Bloomberg all got 3 terms when he got 3 terms.
Did you have a position on term limits?
Yes, it's a very nuanced position. I don't believe in term limits for the legislative body. I believe it should happen for the executive so it could model like what we see on the federal level. I also think it should
We
be
hope.
right. And I also feel like you should be limited how many times you can run for speaker cuz but I think
Uh,
like
or
don't
or
you
committee chairs.
yes. Like, don't you want someone in office? Like, you want someone in a corporation or business who knows the business, has been there for a long time, and can take people under their wing and teach them. And then when they leave, there's like this natural transition.
Even if you know a lot, it does take at least a year and sometimes two, and you get better.
Listen, I was Margarita's chief of staff for nearly 4 years. Then I became
I
the
just nodded,
councilwoman.
by the way, just for the crowds, for the throngs listening. I nodded. Yes, I recall.
And then I became the councilwoman. And I can tell you that there was not a day that went by when I was the chief of staff that I didn't learn something. And even as a council person, there are
Yes.
things, different things you're
Oh,
exposed to.
that's what
So
I
there were things I
loved
was
about the
learning
council.
all the
Yes,
time.
all those hearings. I always learned things at hearings from people who testified. It was amazing. Something I really missed when I went to the legislature, where they did not believe in hearings, and they would craft bills that then had to be amended because there were things wrong with them. I'm like, why don't you people have fucking hearings on these
Yeah.
things instead of writing, you know, they would write bills in the middle of the night. But it was a good thing about, if you had a hearing on a bill, it was on its way. Like very rarely did something just pass without having a hearing on it. I mean, sometimes, but rarely. And it was
Well,
good to have
you're
hearings.
required to have a hearing, but sometimes, like if you needed to vote on it, immediately because otherwise the matter would be moot or something, then you do it pre-considered. But they always would have a hearing, even if it was a short one. And in those pre-considered,
Off the floor,
there's
for
not
instance.
enough notice to the folks. But
Yes. Now, The question that I would ask if I was teaching
Uh-huh.
and you were coming in, since I also loved going into schools, a gray area bill. I was always like, oh, death penalty choice, gay stuff. Like, of course, that was so easy. They were like gray area bills that were the hardest ones that kept me up at night. Can you think of any gray bills where you really were not sure what the right vote was going to be?
The budget. Every
Well,
time we voted on the budget.
yes, that's true.
Um, hmm. Yeah, and none are coming to mind right now.
Any memorable votes that you were thrilled to make?
Um, well, the day we voted on term limits,
Well,
so I voted on principle. I voted against term limits because I felt it should go back to the people. But I really felt like we should change it so that legislators, and if you want to give them term limits, give it like 20 years so that the person can build experience. Because if you want to get someone out, you can always get
I
them out. You
mean,
just got to
yeah,
do the work.
let the voters do it. I mean, if term limits are inevitable, right, then I would say 16 years and you're out.
Mhm.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
Of course, I was in the Senate for 14 years. I thought I was only going to be there for 10, but it was 14 glorious years in the Senate and 7 in the heavenly city council. Um, but did you get a lot of, I was going to use an epithetic word, a lot of trash talking because of your vote on term limits,
Um,
against
well,
term limits?
I think, I got criticized in the paper saying that I ran for a third term, even though, like, I voted against it. And they clearly were not listening to my arguments on the floor.
But no, wait, but
So
you voted against term limits.
I voted against term limits because I didn't feel that the
Right.
legislator should be voting on it.
Fine that you're, I mean, but it wasn't, you didn't vote against it in self interest. You voted against it on ideological grounds,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give a little lesson for our listeners. There are two ways that you can change the charter. One is referendum, which Round Louder would pour millions and millions and millions of dollars to have ridiculous two-term term limits for the city council, or the city council itself can change the charter. And that's what the vote was whether or not to change the charter. Because Chris Quinn, who was my council member, got so much dirt thrown at her, even though, as you probably know, there were many members who were against term limits, but but they wanted her to be in what was it? But they said they were in favor of term limits, even though they weren't, and they told her that she had to be against term limits because they wanted to serve, and she couldn't be leader unless something like that. Wasn't there some drama around that?
I'm sure there was so much stuff going on.
So this was a dramatic thing.
There was a council member who, during the vote, was in the bathroom throwing up because they were so, they wanted to vote a certain way, and a lot of pressure was being put to vote a different way, and so.
Now, because when I was in office, where I would explain to people, I said, everyone in Peter Vallone's district, which is completely different now, a story, but in those days was kind of conservative, they thought they were voting me out. And everyone in my district thought they were getting rid of Peter Vallone. People didn't understand that they were getting rid of the people that they liked. You know what I mean? And that's what term limits does. It's you're not throwing it at some other district. You're biting your whatever to spite your face. But some people got to serve 12 or 13 years. Because it's 4 years, but sometimes 2 years, and there's redistricting.
Yeah. Well, right. So the only people serving close to 12 years are those who are coming in a special election where that term doesn't count. Yeah, this is like Yusuf Salam, the council member from Harlem.
Yes.
He came in and got elected to a 2-year term. And now he got reelected to a 4-year term. The next one is going to be a 4-year term. So he'll
have 10 years.
Yeah, I'm assuming they let him fill out
he'll have a little more than 10 years, probably then. Because Chris had a little bit more than 10 years because she got the remainder of my term.
But no. But he got in on a 2-year
Oh, during a 2 years.
term.
I see.
Yeah, which
Okay.
happens every time there's
Oh, because mine
redistricting.
was a 4.
Yeah, yours was a 4.
Just to, this is almost as bad as judges trying to explain this. And that was, I mean, it was one of the problems. It was a poorly written, term limits was a poorly conceived and,
Hmm.
written. It didn't, it accomplished unfairly what it set
Yes.
out to accomplish. Now, I want to get to what you're doing now, but I want to know, who did you like working with the most? Like, who did you think was, we have to lay aside the speaker because that's a whole different, job. But who of your colleagues did you think was very effective, hardworking, and you liked working and agreed with them on a lot of issues?
Well, there were a lot of different people during the 12 years, but certainly for 8 years, I worked very closely with Margaret Chin. And, I call her my sister, and I really I
Uh,
still keep in touch with her.
and she was
Supposed to
right
go
on the
visit.
garden,
Yes.
housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love gardens. In fact,
Yes,
you know,
we're
I had
not for
hearings on gardens.
bulldozing them,
Right.
but that was not
It was not
a
a garden
garden.
until they were going to build something, and someone
And then
put a
all,
statue in a bench, and all of a
yep,
sudden it was a garden.
yep.
He says with bitterness dripping from his mouth because it was supposed to be for older Asian and gay people,
Mm-hmm.
and others, but still.
Senior housing, yeah.
And they say, "Oh, they're going to build housing elsewhere." Yeah, you can't take those promises to the bank.
All right.
Anyway, so Margaret, yeah,
Loved working with Margaret.
Margaret's husband taught at PS3, which when I grow up, I want to go to PS3 in
Yeah.
the village. But you had good schools in District 1, right?
But
You had some not
I,
great, you
I
had
went,
some good ones.
but I was raised in Brooklyn and Williamsburg.
No, I mean when you were as a
Oh,
council
yes, as
member,
councilman. Yeah, we had a lot of great schools. Um,
the Earth School, and then they
yes.
stole a school from you and made it beautiful.
And
A
made it
STEM
a
school,
Bard.
a white school,
They made it Bard High School, early
Bard High School,
college.
right? Which was
It was a struggling elementary school. Started to do a bit better, and
it is.
yeah, so that was
But in the
that's
beginning, it was white flight.
hmm
It seemed to me.
yes, yeah,
It was beautiful. Like they fixed it up, they renovated. It was gorgeous. You know, the schools like PS1 and PS2, which were the original, like the physical plant is horrendous, but the instruction is amazing, right?
yes,
And you had schools like that,
yes,
and some struggling schools like I did too.
yeah. Children's workshop, a neighborhood school, the island school. Yeah, we
It
had
was a
some.
very creative district.
Yeah,
Anyway, I digressed. So you liked working with Margaret.
yes. Um, and I'm just trying to
By the
think.
way, I just want, it is really hard to ask politicians to talk about other politicians because they're all imperfect. You know what I mean? Like you think of like everything is great, but you can only think of the things you don't like about that you had trouble with. So I
Oh,
always say, don't ask me about other politicians because it's just not fair.
Danny Drum. So we did a
Oh, I
lot of
love Danny
LGBT
Drum.
stuff when he joined, and
I
he
want
was
Danny Drum
awesome.
on the show. I had Jimmy on, but not Danny.
You gotta get
I
Danny.
know. I love Danny.
Maybe you should get.
I'm the
We
one that
became a caucus of
I
seven
told
before I
him to
got term
run.
limited.
Yes. Do you remember? Oh, I have a photo. You were having a caucus meeting. It was you, Carlos, Danny, Jimmy. Who am I missing? There were
Uh,
6 of you.
Richie,
Carlos.
Richie
Oh, Richie
Torres.
Torres. And it was kind of rainbowish. And
Hmm.
you're having a meeting, and I said, "Let's have a picture." And I was standing there watching. And he said, "No, we want you in the picture." I love that picture. That was like my dream come true picture. That's what I always wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
And then you had someone come out from the Bronx,
Jimmy Vaca.
Jimmy Vaca.
Yes.
Shocker.
Yes.
No one had any idea he was gay. He represented a fairly conservative district, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
They loved their Jimmy, right?
Yep.
So 7 out of 50, 30, 51. 51 was 30 for 51. That's not bad.
Yeah.
But now there are queers representing non-queer districts, and there are Asians representing non-Asian districts, and Latinx people. Like it's a whole, like you don't, because you were still running, as I ran, in districts that were allegedly made so that a member of a minority group could possibly get
Hmm.
elected. Not that it was majority, that minority,
Hmm.
but it was thought that people would be willing to vote for like a gay person or an Asian person if they were Caucasian, or if they were non-Hispanic, white person, they would vote for someone Hispanic, right?
Yes.
So we were living under those lines.
Yes.
What are you doing now?
What am I doing now? I'm working in government. Um, yeah, after term limits, well, I was like taking care of my parents. They were really sick.
I'm
So,
sorry
like,
to
for
hear that.
10 months, I didn't work. Then they got better. And then
Did you have time to mourn?
my
No,
parents,
mourn not being in office.
yeah, that was like,
You don't think it's
I
going to
got
be, but it
really,
is,
I
right?
got really depressed. And
Yeah.
someone said, "Well, you lost the job that you love." I said, "No, but I knew term limits was coming." They go, "Doesn't matter. It still impacts
And
you." And I loved my neighborhood. I loved, well, anyway,
loved
it's
representing them. You
yeah,
love that
and
they.
it was like, to me it didn't matter. It was 24/7, but I had some broken relationships because of that. So you're
Oh,
having
oh,
brunch on a Saturday and people are coming into the restaurant to give you constituent complaints. Doesn't bode well for the
well,
relationship.
Lewis would not walk like to the supermarket or the dry cleaner or anything with me. And and I love my district. I like to walk around. Well, I love all, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no neighborhood I don't like. But if I was walking in my district, like which is a lovely place to walk, I couldn't. Like we weren't allowed to walk there. We had to walk someplace where people didn't know me. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to walk around my district, I had to walk alone because people would come up and say, "I've been meaning to call you about blah blah blah," and then I would give them my card and say, I can't really talk because we're having a moment here, but give the office a
Mm-hmm.
call, which they usually didn't, but
Mm-hmm.
still. Um, I had a friend in National League of Cities. She was mayor of Virginia Beach, and she was out shopping with her husband one time, and a woman came over and said, "Oh, Madam Mayor, I've been meaning to call you." And her husband said, "Well, why don't you?" So she never went shopping with her husband again. So, were you in a relationship during that time?
um, Not in the beginning, and then I was in a relationship, and we got engaged, and she said she couldn't compete with the other
Yeah, because you're
woman,
married.
District 2.
Yeah, that's see, my type unavailable. That's
Uh-huh.
because I was married to. I'm still married to saving the world in a way. So you took a little time off. You had an affordable apartment, fortunately,
Yes.
because it was that beehive of lesbians.
And then I started working for Gail Brewer as the Manhattan Borough President. Loved my job.
Oh, what'd you do
Loved
for
working
her?
for Gail. I was her director of community affairs. So I was in charge of all the liaisons
To
who would go
all the
to
neighborhoods,
the
yeah.
community board meetings. Also went through, and she had a very extensive process for community board appointments and interviews. We interviewed over like 1,000 people for 300 positions, of which half of them were probably reappointments. So,
I was at a fundraiser for a candidate I'm sorting for city council last night, and someone was there, and I didn't immediately recognize him because I guess we've all gotten a little bit older looking. But as a gay person, I like to think I haven't got as older looking. But anyway, I did not recognize him, and then I said, someone else was there, and I said, "Oh, I just forgot your name," and he told me to say, and then he said, "You threw me off the community board with so and so," and I said, "What?" And he said, I said, "Well, first of all, I don't think I threw you off. Like, how long had you been on?" He's like, "For 12 years." I said, "Well, it may have been that I thought, you know, other people needed a chance to be on the community board." I don't remember being particularly angry with him about anything, but I apologized anyway. But I have to go back and ask my chief of staff with like, did we throw him off? Like, we didn't reappoint him. It's not like I
mhm,
said, I'm not. And by the way, the borough president has to approve it basically too, right? I mean, usually that you have autonomy, but they still have to. They're the ones that actually make the
yeah,
appointments. It's a
right.
courtesy for the council members to do it.
Yeah, I think in the other boroughs, they actually take your list of appointees and throw them away, and then they appoint who they want. And in Manhattan, it's more collaborative. And I don't think, like, I never got any of my appointees rejected except like with Scott Stringer when he and I wanted to appoint the same person.
Oh,
So we'd
fighting over
have to
who got
like,
to do it.
okay, you appoint this one, I'll take this one.
Well, you had
So
three boards, right? One,
I have
two,
four.
Oh, really?
I had 3 and 6, which were the major parts. I had a small part of 5,
Totally
and
different. 3 was a wild,
uh,
wild, exciting one, and 6 was a very, like, sedate-ish kind of
yes,
board.
and then I had 5 and 2, a little part of 2, which was the West Village, and 5 was over there, the
You had
west of Fifth Avenue.
east of Fifth Avenue mostly, right? Was your district?
Yes, I was mostly east of Fifth Avenue, a little
But you
block
didn't have
here.
the park. You didn't have Washington Square Park, right? That was the Lower Manhattan district.
No, but I had a Madison Square Park.
Because I was pilloried in New York Magazine because they said that the gays had forced the village to be divided into 3 different districts and it was going to be underserved. And they blamed it on me and said that I did not care about quality of life or crime. It was it was in the first 6 months of my being in office, and all of a sudden I had to be the quality of life queen, which I'm in favor of quality of life. Like I don't like people
Hmm.
urinating on your front door, you know what I mean? But like I had to like
Hmm.
really step it up to prove that I was not weak on quality of life stuff, and I certainly wasn't weak on crime. I'm against crime, you know. I am thinking of something wonderful you did when you were in the council. You passed a very sweeping schools protection bill that was very, very inclusive, right? Wasn't it while you were there that transgender students were protected,
Yes,
or more, even
yes,
greater protection in schools? And
yes.
so,
It's interesting because I remember um, the transgender civil rights bill,
yes.
and I remember the gay civil rights bill. I was in college, and I remember that's when I first met Miriam Freelander. She
Oh,
was just a spitfire,
she
and I was
was.
like, "Who is she standing up for our rights
I
like that?"
know,
She was just,
effortlessly.
yeah, yeah, that was incredible. So I don't remember some of the other stuff because, like, for me, those were the big, big ones.
And you did some good tenant protection things also,
Yes.
because you
And
did.
and one that I'm proud of
Yes.
is the ban of the display of exotic animals.
Oh.
I was upstate in a cab once because the car broke down, and so we're getting driven, and the cab driver starts to talk about, oh yeah, but they banned the the circuses in New York City. I go, well, they banned the display of exotic animals. He goes, yeah, well, the circus is all exotic animals, and he started saying there's a place up here where they rescue the animals, and
Yes,
he
but
was telling me,
that's different.
yes, but he was just saying that a lot of them came from circuses, that
Oh,
place where the
yes,
rescue is at, and
yes.
so anyway, so I thought it was interesting. This person in upstate New York, and didn't tell him it was my bill.
No, not at a moment like that. Um, now the Republicans, when they wanted to fuck with me, they wanted more time. They were working on something or other, so they wanted to waste time on the Senate floor, and I was leading this. I was the floor leader,
Hmm.
so they brought up one of my bills. It was named after someone. It was you could not have exotic animals at birthday parties, and they thought I wouldn't know anything about it.
Hmm.
And there was not one bill that I had that I did not know everything about it. I debated that bill with them for hours and hours while they did whatever it was that they were doing because I just knew all about it, what it was, why you shouldn't do it, why the, et cetera, et cetera. But
Hmm.
they thought it was really funny, and I was, which I love to be when they deadly serious because
Hmm.
it was a deadly serious bill because someone had died at a birthday party because they brought like a tiger or something to the birthday party.
Wow.
But animals was not a big issue except for horses when I was in the council. But you did
Hmm.
animals was a thing when you were in the council,
Yeah, and
fortunately.
Corey worked on that bill with me. So what I did my last term is I got all my bills, and I got
Oh,
second
Corey was the person I forgot. I'm
Corey
sorry.
Johnson, yeah, and I got people to co-sponsor in case I couldn't pass the bills, then they would inherit it once I left the council.
Oh, good.
But we got that one passed, and he worked really hard and helped me get that bill passed. And it was because they didn't do the horses because they were supposed to pass horses. I was
Well,
asked by an advocate to withdraw my legislation. I
I th-
said,
I think the horses is a difficult thing
yeah.
because no matter what their life is going to be bad,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're pulling carriages, otherwise they very likely slaughtered and
Mm-hmm.
fed, be fed as meat. It's terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them come from Amish country where they don't retire them nicely. They sell them off to
Mm-hmm.
And horses, like, dogs, have a very special relationship with human beings. I think they were supposed to wrap up, though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll come back, Rosie. Maybe I'll have some other vets,
This,
some other queer vets, right?
yes, this was fun.
This has been Tom Duane. I'll do more. And speaking with my former colleague in government, Rosie Méndez, who I love. Oh, we didn't even get to talk about East Midtown Plaza. I am so proud of that. I can't not say it. We saved East Midtown Plaza from going private.
Yes, and we got raked over the coals for it from
Two-thirds of the
the
building hated
privatizers.
us, and the
Yes,
third liked us. But the third that liked us were the 1 and 2
but
bedroom people.
they did it to themselves because, like, they were saying all this stuff, calling us liars, and they
Oh,
were lying, and then other people were showing up to the meetings who were just trying to figure. When they realized that we weren't lying, they were like, "Yeah, I wanted to privatize, but no,
no,
like, why are
they
they
had
lying
a
about all this
study group
stuff?"
that they packed in favor of all people in favor of it, and
Yeah,
they lied to a friend of mine who was in favor of privatizing and said that I refused to meet with them. I said that is not true. They have never
yeah,
asked to meet with me. Of course, I would meet with them. And then when they put out the red herring, they, there were like 800 mistakes in it, errors. And I remember sending a letter to all the residents saying, "You may have heard that there was a glitch with." And I also told them not to accept cookies from the privateers because their apartments would be better off if they were dead and empty. Oh, but we knocked on doors. We spent a
yeah,
lot of time and we won.
yeah,
Barely, but we won, and that's all
yes,
that counts. Saving affordable housing. You hearing?
yes,
Mr. Mayor, saving affordable housing. You can create all the affordable low income housing is what you should be creating, and you should not be getting rid of what is already affordable because they would not be considered affordable now. They're
yeah,
like below, like you have to make more money to get into an affordable apartment now.
mm-hmm,
Anyway, but build more low income housing. Don't destroy like housing that is truly affordable and or for the middle class and low income now. So let's go
yeah.
talk to the mayor about that. Well,
All right,
all
let's do
right,
it.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Miss you, Tom.
Oh, Rosie, I'm
Yeah,
so glad.
fist bump you
Did
here, give you a big hug out there.
and I just kind of hound you to come on the show. Well,
Really,
first you said no because first I had the wrong phone number, and then I texted and said, "What do you mean podcast?" And I thought I had been talking to you like, but I actually you don't
It's
know I
like,
was
come on my show. I'm like, what are
I
you
had
talking about?
I had been hounding her at the wrong phone number.
Yes. So I'm
So
like, you
so
really
you
didn't
don't know,
hound
just
me.
so you know, I was hounding you. You were hounded, but I'm really thrilled that you came on, and we'll do something like this again. And
Love
thank you
it.
so much. And this is Tom Duane with You Don't Say Conversations with the Loquacious Mr. Duane, which I mean I am.
There you go.
Thank you.
Love you, Tom.
Love you.
Thank you.
This has been You Don't Say, Conversations with the Loquacious Mr. Duane, featuring former New York State Senator Thomas Duane and former Professor Blake Newham Valenzuela. We are produced by Sound Small at PNT Network on Orchard Street. Associate producers are Neil Patrick Connolly, Angel Newham Valenzuela, and Charles Sanchez. Music by Notice. We are sponsored by Tom Duane Strategies and the Ghost of the Future, with the support of the Gay Officers Action League, a fraternal organization of the NYPD, Immigration Equality New York, and the Victory Fund, as well as our sister television media, The Recruiters, streaming worldwide on Manhattan Neighborhood Network.